Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys the things I wish I knew before owning hamsters. Hopefully this video is helpful to you if you're thinking about owning hamsters, or if you do own hamsters, or maybe you have in the past and you just want to learn more. So let's get right into it. The first thing I wish I knew is that hamsters are not easy or starter pets. A lot of people think that because hamsters are small, they're a small commitment. This is actually wrong, and the reality is that hamsters are a lot of work. They require time, patience, understanding, because they are prey animals. They also require just like cleaning, and you need to make sure you're consistent with feeding and giving water, etc. They're just not starter pets. The next thing I wish I knew about hamsters before owning them is that cage size matters a lot. Your hamster's cage is pretty much their whole life. It's where they will be spending the majority of time. It doesn't matter how much time you let your hamster out of the cage or play with your hamster, or put it in a playpen. Their cage is where they will be the majority of their life, and the size really does matter. Just because they're small animals doesn't mean you can put them in a small cage. Hamsters need so much room to run, play, and exercise. Someone I would look to for good hamster cage inspo is Victoria Rachel. I love her cage setups. The bare minimum in the United States for hamsters is 600 square inches of floor space, but most people recommend to aim for 800 square inches or even closer to 1,000 square inches, especially for Syrians. Which means pet store cages are not going to cut it. Critter trails, we need to throw them away, put them in the trash, because your hamster is not going to live a happy life in a critter trail or in a small, cheap pet store cage. Instead, you can buy a bin and turn that into a cage. You got to make sure it's big enough. Or you could build a DIY cage, or look on Amazon, because a lot of things are popping up. There's the Paw Hut cage, and if you remove the levels, then it's a pretty good sized hamster cage. Night Angel is also probably one of the best brands you can get. It might be a little bit more on the pricey side, but it's worth your money. The next thing I wish I knew is that hamsters are nocturnal, and I kind of did know this, but I thought they would be awake more like 7 o'clock and in the morning when I wake up. But not all hamsters are like this. Some are, but like my hamsters don't come up till 9, 10, 11, 12 even sometimes. Depends on the time of year and their sleeping patterns, because they do change. But that's definitely something you should know before getting a hamster, because they are not pets for small children because that reason. Because they're going to be awake when your kids are sleeping. This also will affect your routine. For me, I'm now a night person because I like being up when my hamsters are up. I like watching them at night and enjoying them at nighttime. I don't like waking them up in the day because that can actually stress out your hamster, and you're not supposed to do that. So your schedule will also change. Another thing I wish I knew is that taming takes a ton of time and patience, and you may never have a fully tame hamster. Robos, for instance, are not the easiest to tame. Mine is still not completely tame. You might get lucky with a hamster and you might have a perfect bond with it, and it might be super sweet and never bite, but it's not the most common. With a lot of hamsters, they will bite, and it will take a while for them to be tame and comfortable around you. This is not me discouraging you from getting a hamster. I think if you are willing to put in the time and patience and everything you have to do to tame a hamster, it can be so rewarding, and that's another thing I love about hamsters. The next thing I wish I knew about hamsters before owning them is that hamsters need a lot of bedding to burrow, and the depth matters. Hamsters are burrowing creatures. They don't sleep on top of the bedding, or they don't need just enough bedding to dig in. It's not just to soak up their urine, it's so they can build burrows, and because that's like what hamsters would do in the wild. The minimum is 6 inches of bedding, and it's actually preferred to go 10 plus inches of bedding, because a lot of hamsters won't even burrow till they're given multiple inches of bedding. So that's something to consider. The next thing I wish I knew before getting hamsters is diet matters. You can't just give your hamsters a pellet that you find at a pet store, because a lot of things you find at pet stores are not going to be safe for your hamster or not the healthiest. I didn't even know this for the first year of owning hamsters. I recently switched to Missouri rat and mouse pellets with a Higgins Sunburst hamster seed mix. That's the best you can get in my area, but I would encourage you to buy on Etsy and from small hamster businesses because supporting them would be better. The next thing I wish I knew is wheels need to be the right size. Wheels need to be at least 11 inches for Syrian and at least 10 inches for a dwarf. Some people say 8 inches is okay, but definitely go for bigger. Bigger is always better. Also, make sure it's a solid wheel and not a wire mesh wheel or wire or mesh because that's not safe for your hamsters. If your wheel is too small, their backs could bend and could cause a lot of spine problems. And if the wheel is wire or mesh, then your hamsters can get their limbs and toes caught in it, and they can get very serious injuries. So please look into buying a larger wheel. Good brands would be Night Angel or NutriPet. Also, Trophy, I think is what it's called, has some really good ones. The next thing I wish I knew was how to properly clean your hamster's cage. You want to maintain a clean habitat for your animal, but you don't want it to be too clean, is what I would say. And right now you're probably wondering what I mean by that. And what I mean is, people used to think that you were supposed to clean out your hamster cage completely once a week, like take out all the bedding and everything, but actually you're supposed to spot clean hamster cages, which means you'll just clean out the areas where your hamster has peed, whether that's in the sand bath, because hamsters are very clean animals and it actually really stresses them out for you to remove every little bit of their bedding because they have their scent on it and it just really stresses them out. That's why it's better to clean every 2 to 3 days, spot clean, and then you can do a full or a deep clean every month or so. But this should still not be a whole, like, take out all the bedding, replace it. This should be taking out all the dirty areas and putting in clean bedding. The next thing I wish I knew before owning hamsters is that hamsters, although they are small, still need to see a vet. I wish I had known this before getting hamsters because I am still having trouble finding vets, small exotic vets for my hamsters, and it kind of stresses me out knowing that I need to bring them to a vet if there's ever any illness or anything. I also think it's important for children to, even if you're responsible enough to care for your hamsters all by yourself, to talk to your parents before getting a hamster and let them know that your hamster may need to see a vet once or twice in its life, or more, depending on the hamster. So definitely set aside a fund for your hamster and let your parents know, especially if you can't drive, and ask if they would be willing to drive you. If they say no, maybe a hamster isn't the best pet for you, because it's very important that your hamster does see a vet, or at least some sort of vet. I also wish I knew some common health issues with hamsters, because then I would have known what to look out for. I have learned it over the years, though, by watching videos on YouTube and just doing more research on my own hamsters. So I know a lot of the common health issues for hamsters now, and I might make a video on it sometime. The last thing I wish I knew before getting a hamster is that every hamster has a different personality. Not all hamsters are going to be like the ones you see on TV or YouTube or anything. Your first hamster may be completely different from your second hamster because hamsters have such different personalities. Some of them are super outgoing and friendly. Some of them are super kind, and some of them are super shy and skittish and may never be completely tame. Some of them hate humans or anything that's spooky. Some of them get spooked easier than others. It's really important to know that your hamster might not be like your friend's hamster or the hamster you saw on YouTube or the TV, because all hamsters are different. So it's also a really fun thing about them, because your hamster that you own right now may be completely different from the hamster that you own next year or in a few years, or if you decide to add a hamster to your to the family. But yeah, I really enjoy owning 2 or 3 hamsters at a time because of this reason. It's very cool to see the different hamsters' personalities. For example, Chai is very friendly and outgoing now after I've tamed him, and Tater Tot is still very skittish and gets spooked super easily, but he's also super curious and fun to watch, and just seems to really enjoy running and playing, and seems to enjoy taking treats from me. They are both super food motivated. That's one thing that I think all hamsters have in common. Food motivation. And that's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have anything that I didn't mention in today's video, please leave it in the comments. Some things that you wish you knew about owning hamsters before you went into owning them, and some tips and tricks for any new hamster owners. Just let me know what other videos you'd like to see concerning hamsters, and I will see you guys in next week's video. Bye!